We will get started then. Hello and welcome everyone to the Unsolicited Wrestling Podcast or stream. It's a stream now when you watch it live over on Twitch, but when it's a podcast later, it's a podcast is what it is. But yes, thank you everyone for coming and joining. We got at least 5 people in the chat right now. Hello, Hippie Exterminator. Hello, Legend of Shazam. Hello, Wade. Hello, Amazing Spider-Man again. Here's the thing. On this show, on the Unsolicited Wrestling Podcast stream, we do things a little differently here. I, Cape Joel, am your host, but also you, as the chat, is my co-host on this one. So I am very happy for you joining me on this one. But yes, to kick the show off in what I'm hoping will become a trend, I did it for episode 1 and I want this to be a thing moving forward. It's time for one of my favorite segments, one of what I'm sure will be many brand new segments, and that is, what wrestling shirt is Joel wearing today? And today, as you can see, I am wearing the club shirt, but not a club shirt that you would know. Not the club shirt that was ever made available at WWEmerch.com. No, I got this one from TeePublic. And you know what? I got this one from TeePublic. Normally I'm all about supporting the actual wrestlers, but here's the thing. This shirt was better because it's with their original design. When they first premiered, they got, kendo stick, gas mask, skull thing. It's so much better than what they eventually ended up getting. I liked this one more. So that's why I'm sticking around with this one. Hello, SD Anthony. We were just in the middle of what wrestling shirt is Joel wearing this week. And yes, I got this shirt from TeePublic because here's the thing. Sometimes TeePublic actually does better when it comes to wrestling shirts. They have some interesting designs, and say you like stuff like maybe from old Ring of Honor that isn't around anymore. Say you like stuff from New Japan that is harder to get in your country or more expensive to get, well, you can get something at TeePublic that is rather similar. And in fact, I am very happy to say it's only episode 2, it's only stream number 2, but guess what? We actually got some sponsorship going into this show. Now, I know, right? And it's a great sponsor because it allows me to pass some savings on to you, the viewer, because I like you, because I care about you, and because you're essentially my co-host for this stream. I want to tell you about TeePublic. I'm sure you've seen it. It's helped a lot of your other favorite YouTubers get shirts of their own, get merch of their own made. When I go to cons, that's what I do. I just wholesale my TeePublic stuff. But right now, for the first time, I have actually been given a 30% off coupon for TeePublic that I am passing the savings on to all of you right now. You can go and get yourself an awesome shirt like the one I'm wearing right now. You can also check out my own storefront that I have set up. I put that in the chat right now for everyone to see, and I'll also put it down in the description when I do this. This code is good until the 30th of the month, so check that one out. Get yourself a nice shirt there. I have a bunch of wrestling shirts on my storefront of some stuff I like. Maybe you'll like it too, and if you buy something off my storefront, and even if you just use my code and visit the site via the link I put there in the chat, I get to clean up a little bit on that. So you're supporting the show, you're supporting me, and you're supporting great artists out there. Everybody wins. Now, with that, everyone, I suppose we can actually get to the news of this week, and it's been a rather large week. And again, the Cape Joel Wrestling Show, the Unsolicited Wrestling Stream, it's not like other shows. We're not going to cover everything. I mean, if the chat wants me to cover something, I'll probably cover it. But again, this is the stuff that stuck out to me. This was the stuff that really made me think. And of course, the first piece of news, if you couldn't tell from the thumbnail of this episode, and that is The Club. Luke Gallows, Carl Anderson. It was rumored this week that they might very well be leaving the Fed. They might be walking away from the WWE, despite the fact that they have supposedly, the rumor has been offered multi-million-dollar contract extensions, that they want to leave and they want to, seek out some greener pastures. And I think we can all agree. Can you blame them? I don't think you can blame them. The Good Brothers have been really, really underused in what has to be probably one of the weakest times for tag wrestling in the WWE. And to think that they were so damn good in New Japan, and this is great too, because I get to talk about how much I loved them in New Japan. Heck, I loved Carl Anderson when he was teaming with Giant Bernard, aka Matt Bloom, aka Prince Albert. That's how long I had watched New Japan for, and how long I had super been into that. I guess the question is really, where did it go wrong for the Good Brothers? Where did it go wrong for Gallows and Anderson? Because if you'll recall, when they started super strong. They beat up the Usos, they beat up John Cena, they beat up Roman Reigns, and they did it all in casual wear, too. They came in almost like Hall and Nash as the outsiders. And they, they did a lot of damage, and they were put over super strong. I think that, honestly, the problem for them was it was all about timing. They couldn't put the belts on them right away because this was when the New Day was really close to breaking Demolition's record, is what is. So they couldn't put it on them right away, and even though they got to carry the belts, even though they got to eventually carry them, they won it in a nothing Royal Rumble match due to a lot of shenanigans. There was some stuff with 2 refs, so it was a really unsatisfying win. And even though they got to carry the tag titles into WrestleMania, it didn't matter because they lost them instantly to the returning Hardy Boys, which was a great moment for them, but a really bad moment for Gallows and Anderson. Now, even though they haven't really been seen much on TV, and even though they haven't been racking up wins, they have been around. They've been relegated to doing mostly comedy spots. Again, we all remember the ring post-itis sketches, the Good Doctors, and all that stuff. But even just outside those things, they would keep busy. They were featured quite prominently on Ride Along. I dare say they were probably featured on Ride Along more than just about any other team, and they were always funny. They were always funny, they were always entertaining, and maybe that's what sealed their doom, because it feels like Vince McMahon is one of those guys where it's like, oh, you're funny, huh? You do comedy? Well, guess what? You're going to be doing comedy for the rest of your life now. They also never pulled the trigger to put them as a faction, either with AJ Styles or Finn Balor, for long, probably because both those guys were still finding their feet. AJ eventually found it. Finn, we'll talk about Finn later in the show, don't you worry. But yeah, it's been a strange ride for them, and a lot of people are saying that maybe that this is all rumors. Apparently, Carl Anderson himself on his Instagram page had his kids saying, "Hey, don't believe everything you read online." He was also in a Sam Roberts podcast just recently where he talked about how much he truly loves working for the WWE and wants to keep working for them. There's also the pilot show for Botch Club that the two of them had put together, that maybe if they're not going to be on TV, they would still get their own little show on the network. Much to the chagrin of Matthew from Botchamania, because, well, this is basically just his shtick, only, done officially, which, unfortunate for him. That man does good work. The question is, of course, and the chat has already beaten me to this one, and that is, where could they go next if they are indeed turning down these multi-million-dollar contracts, as the rumor would suggest? AEW seems to be the obvious one, and we're going to be talking more about AEW later, don't you worry. All their friends work there now. It's the hottest up-and-coming company. It also helps that Anderson and Gallows were both invited to Rocky Romero's wedding not so long ago, as you could see on Instagram, and the Young Bucks were there, and Cody was there, and basically everyone who's going to be the backbone of AEW was there. And maybe that changed their mind. The chat's also saying possibly return to New Japan. Now would actually be a very good time for them to return to New Japan. Obviously, New Japan lost a ton of American talent when the Elite and everything exited to go do AEW, so they could use some more American talent in there. It would be a nice bit of continuity to see them return if they did leave, because these were two guys who people forget were founding members with Tama Tonga, with Prince Devitt, with Bad Luck Fale, and everything else. So to see them return, I think would, kind of give their blessing in a way. I know I've dropped off watching New Japan, not because I don't like it or because I don't think it's a great product. It's just all the guys I was following and all the stories I was really invested with went elsewhere. And Jay White hasn't totally won me over yet. He's good, but he hasn't won me over yet, me personally. But yeah, to think that they're probably more interesting and more sought after now, even though the WWE has gone out of their way to not use them and then bury them when they did use them. But again, they still have value, they still have cachet, and they still have friends in high places. Maybe this means nothing, maybe they will stay, maybe this is just rumor mongering, maybe, again, as the chat said, this is just a way for them to, drum up more interest to try and get a little bit more money for when they eventually do sign some new contracts. But definitely something to think about. I hope they go seek greener pastures. I really do. I don't know about them returning to Japan, because I know they said in interviews that they liked working for the Fed because it meant they didn't have to leave their families and they didn't have to travel as far. And again, if you know Carl Anderson, dude's got a lot of kids. Dude's got a lot of kids. A lot of Jay White love too in the chat right now. Yeah. But yeah, so that's that news, everyone. And we're not done yet. We mentioned AEW, but guess what? There's more AEW news. Good old Jim Ross, it was made official this week, will actually be going to work for All Elite Wrestling. This actually isn't much of a surprise at all, because he had been tied to the company for a very, very long time, even before we knew AEW was a thing. Him and Tony Khan and everything they said were working together. Obviously, again, if you watch the New Japan shows, Ross would do commentary over there. Arguably not great commentary. He had trouble remembering a lot of the Japanese guy's name, but, he's only human. He's still beloved, though, still carries a ton of respect, and, when he's on, he's really on. Yeah, by God, Jim Ross is an All Elite W. Yeah, basically. And, obviously, I think any company that he does end up working for is going to get a lot of eyes on them, so, it's no surprise that he would want to go work for them. And it's true, as Legend of Shazam says, hopefully JR will have some of the passion when he's the play-by-play guy for AEW. Definitely agreed. He seems like a guy who wants to keep working. He lost his wife not too long ago, and he definitely seems like one of those guys where it's like, if I don't keep working, I might die. I'm like the Charles Schultz Peanuts guy, and I think we'd all be really sad if that happened. So, wherever he can get work, and again, that just makes AEW even more of a must-see product when it eventually does come out. Can't wait for that, by the way. I tried really hard, actually, to get tickets to Double or Nothing, and I couldn't do it. Yeah, that's how quickly they sold out. I was really dedicated to try and get there, but, live and let live. I actually think I entered a wrestling tee contest, actually, to get you there. But should be good, and I'll definitely cover that one when that comes out on the pay-per-view. Now, what else do we have going here? On television this week, Kurt Angle announced that this WrestleMania will be his retirement match. He's done after this, which, I think we all felt this kind of had to come for a bit. Kurt Angle in this last run, a lot of it was him kind of just winding it down. And, what a career he's had, and what, demons he's overcome and everything. It's really something you gotta respect and something you kind of gotta be in awe with. And the question now is, who do we think, chat, will his final match be against? I've heard some rather interesting theories across the board, and I would love to hear what you all think. A lot of people are saying John Cena, and apparently John Cena himself is being a little coy about it on Twitter. Apparently he's talking about it. Obviously, Cena v. Angle one last time would be a great callback to to the Ruthless Aggression era, and kind of the match that made Cena and put him over. It would be a nice way to put it all together. The chat, Longstar is saying Charlie Haas. Funny you should say Haas. Shelton Benjamin was back on TV this week. Again, they basically just talked him up so Rollins could beat him, so they could, make it seem more realistic that maybe he could beat Lesnar. I would very much actually like to see Angle v. Shelton, because I think Shelton is great, and I think Shelton should get more TV time. He's a super talented guy who you barely see anymore. You see him more on Up, Up, Down, Down than you see him on anything else, and I think that's a crying shame for a dude who probably should have been champion a long time ago. There's talk too. It's like, the Taker doesn't have a match this year. Is he in the outs with Vince because he's going to the AEW Starcast? Could it be Angle v. Taker again? Are they going to make that a big celebrity match? Could this be Angle putting over Gable, who's a guy who's more or less, inherited his gimmick? It'd be nice if, he could put over someone who really needed it and someone who really deserved it on his way out the door. I just don't know who that person would be. But yes, any other ones in the chat there for who you think he could potentially put over? I had a couple other ones, but I lost them. Yeah, Angle v Gable would be cool because again, that's basically his gimmick, and if he could put him over as like the best technical wrestler in the company. I know Gable's doing the tag team feud thing right now, but I don't think anyone would care. Again, we'll talk about that later when we talk about Fastlane. What if it's someone from NXT? Not a bad idea, Longstar. I wonder who from NXT they would put over. Matt Riddle. I think Riddle's going to be busy that weekend with a lot of stuff. Angle Joe, that would be good. I think they're building up Angle or Joe Mysterio for the United States Championship, but that would be cool. Yeah, probably not Taker because him and Vince are a little mad at each other right now. The top ones definitely seem to be Cena, potentially Cena. I would like to see it be Shelton Benjamin, but I know it's probably not going to be Shelton Benjamin this late in his career. Yeah, I mean, Angle Joe would be great, too, because you could harken back to a bunch of TNA stuff, which they seem less and less afraid of to harken back to these days. Oh, man, Angle versus EC3. I mean, we'd first have to unbury EC3's corpse and get him on television instead of the island of misfit toys he's in. But that would have been nice. There's a lot of ways they could go with this. I think we'll be surprised who his opponent actually ends up being. But yeah, that's the Kurt Angle news, everyone. What else do we got going on here now? Hey, so some Hall of Fame news. Harlem Heat is officially going into the Hall of Fame. Good for them. Good for Booker. Good for Stevie. I never watched the Hall of Fame, but I always like to know who's going into the Hall of Fame, and I think they deserve it. And also, I think this is like for Booker, this is his second Hall of Fame thing. He's in as a solo act. This is his first as a tag team. You know what they got to do, and I'm paraphrasing a joke from someone else, is they need to put Booker in 5 times. They got him on his own. They got him with Harlem Heat. Every other faction he's been in, King Booker needs to go in on his own, and then they need to think of like 2 other ones to put him in. The question then remains, too, who's going to put him and Stevie in the Hall of Fame? A lot of people said it's a shame Sherry isn't alive anymore, because she would have been a good choice. Maybe Bischoff. Maybe Bischoff would do it. I could see them picking Bischoff to do it. Or maybe Mark Henry, too, because, they all seem pretty tight and pretty good friends. But yeah, that's just some minor Hall of Fame news right there that I just thought was interesting, because you gotta pay respect. You gotta pay respect to give respect, and they had a very respectable career, Harlem Heat. Ooh, and so some sad news here in title change news, and this will be the last actual news piece here before we get talking about Fastlane and what happened, but Finn Balor this week lost his IC title to Bobby Lashley after only having it for 3 weeks, and I'm pretty sure that I made the exact same face Balor's looking right now when it happened. Yeah, that was my face right there. Oh no, oh Finn. He only had it for 3 weeks. What the hell, and the IC belt wasn't even defended at Fastlane, so to take him off it like it did made no real sense to me. Now, obviously, because the internet is the internet, they have been abuzz with rumors over what this could potentially mean. Maybe he's losing the title now, so at Mania, when Mania eventually rolls around, he can come out as the Demon, get a big Demon entrance, which they have not done at WrestleMania yet, and I think that's a total missed opportunity. He can come out as Demon Finn, and then he can defeat Lashley and probably Lio Rush too, completely clean, and that will, solidify his IC title run. Or maybe not, or maybe Vince McMahon is just bored booking this and he'll move on to something else. But I would definitely like to see that. Maybe that's totally like, glass half full thinking here, where it's like, no, he lost it to get him ready for something else. Yeah, that was another one that Wade brings up here, that the reason he lost the title is that because maybe he's going to be getting like a special super secret Taker match at Mania, where it's like, oh, they got to keep it secret, which again, if he does get that Taker match, he sure as fuck better win it. At this point, I don't want this to be one of the times where Undertaker's like, nope, I get to win on my way out, brother, is what I get to do. Because obviously, Undertaker had a very operatic, over-the-top, horror-themed gimmick. Finn Balor, the Demon, has it too. So it would be nice to, kind of pass the torch You know, the way he probably should have passed the torch to Bray Wyatt when he had the chance but didn't. I would definitely like to see that, because I know Vince McMahon and Triple H have often said, oh, a match with The Undertaker, that's almost, as good as a title shot. That's a marquee match. But again, that's if Taker's even involved and if Vince is still mad at him for whatever reason. Although it would be funny that he gets him back only to punish him by getting him to lose to Balor. I just want the best for Finn Balor. I think they're leaving so much money on the table for Balor. Legend of Shazam mentioned they should bring back the European Championship. Put a pin in that, actually, Legend of Shazam, because, on the weeks when there's no new news, I want to actually do some topics, and I think that would be one. Also, hello, Mr. Giggles. Welcome. We were just talking about the sad state of Finn Balor. Now, I don't know what Balor's contract looks like, but from what I understand and from what I've told, been told in the dirt sheets and everything, they, gave a lot of people a lot of money to stick around, and I wonder if AEW being a thing has given Finn itchy feet to think, oh, I could go somewhere else and be a top guy somewhere else where they'd actually use me. I wonder. I truly, truly wonder. I also wonder, too, if they, the reason Finn is sticking around is also why the club may potentially be sticking around, because they have in the back of their head, oh, no, eventually they'll put us together in a team, and that'll be a real big money-making opportunity. Imagine the shirt sales. Oh, yeah, that's right. I guess the European title is back. It's just on NXT UK. I forget NXT UK is a thing, honestly. I'm sure they do great work there. I'm sure they have great talent, but I'm always like, oh, yeah, you guys have an NXT too, don't you? Oh, and you have your own takeover too. Rhea Ripley's great, isn't she? The Riptide is a great move. But yeah, so that's the news that I cared about this week, and really that's what we should call this segment, because I'm not going to talk about every piece of news, just the stuff that I care about. I'm sure it is great. I'm sure NXT UK truly is great. But yes, obviously Fastlane was this week. I had my predictions in the previous issue. What is this? Isn't a comic book. I'm not a comic book reviewer now. I have my wrestling shirt on. Damn it. But yeah, let's go over the Fastlane card. We'll talk about the matches, and we'll see where my predictions were right, where it was wrong, and also where the show's going now, because obviously SmackDown and Raw have aired since then. But first up here, we have the first match of the night. Yeah, a lot of this card was subject to change, actually, over time, and a lot of stuff wasn't as advertised. We actually got other matches. But yes, it was the tag match to start us off here. Usos v. Miz and Shane. It played out basically exactly like I thought it would. The big standout moment is what I'm showing you right now, and that is the dueling coast to coast in midair, which is actually pretty goddamn impressive, actually, for a dude who's not a wrestler and a dude who's as old as my dad. That's pretty impressive. That was the big moment of the match. Miz and Shane lose, which, hey, as we all guessed, as we could all see from a mile away, led to big sweaty Shane going big sweaty heel on Mr. Miz and his porno stash, and it's so sad because they're wearing the same shirt. Miz actually did sell this one pretty hard as, like a real heartbreaking moment for him. His father comes under attack. Shane, the guy who he's been kind of treating like a father, and they've been having this moment with each other there. He truly feels sad. They're really doing a good job building the sympathy for Miz and, trying to facilitate his turn to a face. And I think it will be good. I will admit I am kind of newer to the WWE thing. I've only been watching for a handful of years now, so I've only known The Miz for his, top-tier intercontinental heel work. I didn't even know him the one time he was champion, the one time when he was, post reality shows and shit. So, I only know this guy now, and I gotta say, I like this guy. And I like Miz and Mrs. I don't watch a lot of it, but what I've watched of it is kind of funny. But yeah, they're going to have a match at Mania. I'm sure it will be good. I'm sure it will definitely be good. As Wade brings up, he's big and sweaty because he's the best in the world. He has a trophy for it. You're right, Wade. He is the best wrestler in the world. He has a trophy, so we know. Which, again, I hated when that happened, when he won the best in the world Royal Rumble thing in Saudi Arabia. But the fact that that's facilitating his heel turn actually made me like it. Yeah, wait, everyone tells me there his tag run with John Morrison was pretty good. He's had a lot of tag runs over the years, but that was that match. The next match we had was Asuka versus Mandy Rose. Thankfully, I was dead wrong about this one. I was afraid they might actually let Mandy win here to try and create some drama heading into Mania, but no, Asuka fucking murdered her. She kicked her to death repeatedly with ridiculously strong strikes. It was almost a callback to the Asuka of old that we love and miss from NXT. I'm glad that this was a glorified squash match in a way. I'm glad that that she beat her down so hard. What's happening with this program? I don't know. She fought Sonya Deville like in the next couple nights, who honestly, Sonya Deville, at least she has the MMA background, so at least she would be a more realistic opponent for her. I don't know if they want to do that going into Mania, or if they're gonna finally gonna try and pull the trigger on Lacey Evans or something. I feel bad for Asuka. Asuka's entire program, and indeed her entire belt, have been completely forgotten and eclipsed by the Becky Ronda Charlotte feud that is going on, which is such a shame. I wish she had a better opponent, but I really don't know who to put her up against at this point that, wouldn't make her look bad. Well, obviously, Asuka's got to be ready for Lacey Evans. Everyone's ready for Lacey Evans. She keeps coming out and walking away. I'm super ready. Yeah, Asuka has no story right now, Ninjak, and that's such a shame because she's so good, and she was so good in NXT, and to think the fact that, like, this time, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, they had her big match with Charlotte that at least felt important because it was the franchise versus the streak, and then she ended up losing her streak there, and it's been hard for her to try and crawl her way back, but at least Creative is writing her like an unstoppable killer again. At least she is just demolishing people. Yeah, Asuka versus Awesome Kong. They'll get Awesome Kong out of retirement to come and fight her. They'll dig up the ghosts of the jumping bomb angels, and she'll have to fight both at the same time. Yeah, if ever there was a situation where we're going to talk about a celebrities women's match, but if there was ever a situation where they should have called in a celebrity part-timer, this is it. Actually, hey, fun story. In NXT near the end of Asuka's tenure, she was actually supposed to fight Trish Stratus in Toronto for TakeOver Toronto. That didn't happen because Stratus was pregnant again, so they got Mickie James back. Mickie James actually ended up liking what she was doing, and we got way more Mickie James. But yeah, as the chat's saying, Asuka versus Trish Stratus, because whatever. Again, they could do that. It's Mania. It's the time when you, accept silly shit like that. They could also go really crazy and be like, all right, let's make this an even bigger multi-woman match where it's Asuka versus every other woman on the roster who didn't get to do anything this year. But yeah, that's Asuka right now. I don't know, man. I don't know what they're going to do with this storyline. I don't think they care. I mean, maybe, if nothing else, maybe it'll be short. Maybe she'll just destroy her opponent at WrestleMania. She'll just walk in like Goldberg and just, demolish them in a couple seconds. All right, now what was the next match after that? Oh, yes, another impromptu match that was not advertised, and that is, of course, Kofi in a handicap match against all the other tag teams with nothing else to do. This was obviously to build Kofi's, underdog status here, fighting against the evil McMahon family, because that's like half the face roster right now is fighting a battle against the evil McMahon family. But hey, you know what? It's working. It's working. This worked to build sympathy for him, but it was what they did a couple nights later that worked actually even better, and that is, of course, when Kofi confronted McMahon with the rest of the New Day, and, he didn't beg, but he just pleaded his case for why he deserves a title, and the crowd was so behind him all night long with "We want Kofi, we want Kofi," and it really got us to see another side of the New Day we don't see very often, that is, hey, they are super talented and they can be serious when they have to. And, Big E fighting so hard for Kofi as well warmed my heart, because let's face it, Big E was an NXT champion. He also probably should have had a chance, but has never been given a chance to, do it as a main eventer. And that's because, well, McMahon said it himself, didn't he? You people. We know what he means when he says you people. He means because they're black. That's why. which at least they're leaning into, the racism of Mr. McMahon, which is probably the racism of the real life Vince McMahon. But the thing that really sold this feud, and it sold it a little bit later, is when McMahon invokes Daniel Bryan and saying, "You don't deserve this match, Kofi, because you're a B-plus player." And that's such a beautiful cutting line, because it hurts Kofi, and it's really nasty that McMahon said it, but also between this and how Daniel Bryan is treating Mustafa Ali in their program, Daniel Bryan as a villain has now come full circle, and now he's every bit as bad as Triple H was back in like WrestleMania 30, trying to keep people down because they were smaller or different or, weren't the traditional WWE champion. And like, man, when wrestling writing is good and when wrestling storytelling is good, it's really, really good. Even if they're relying on kind of a tired trope of, having to trot out the McMahon family to, be the evil villains that need to be overcome. But, everyone in the chat is saying they're hoping that he's going to win the championship at Mania. I think they have to now. I think they've written themselves into a corner where if they don't do this, we're just going to gripe and moan about it. And we're not saying he has to keep it as fans. We're just saying let him win it. Let him have his WrestleMania moment. And then if you feel so inclined to strip him of it the night after, do it. I mean, come on, you did it to Zack Ryder and everything, but he deserves it. And it would be a nice feel-good moment for him if he won. And also it would kind of vindicate like the good work of the New Day too, I believe, if Kofi won that title, because if he wins it, they kind of all win it. Yeah, exactly, Legend of Shazam. If Kofi loses, we riot. They should also let him win, because if he doesn't, yeah, those fans are... Where is it this year? Florida? Where's Mania this year? Wherever they are, if Kofi loses, those fans are going to destroy that stadium. So they better watch out about that. But yeah, Kofi's been on fire recently on the mic. The New Day has been great. It's wonderful because you can feel the friendship and you can feel the love between these guys. And again, when wrestling writing is at its best, it's performers saying stuff that they probably believe anyway. And, when Kofi is fighting for his thing, saying, I've never complained, I've had so much time away from my family, working for here, breaking my back for like 11 years, over a decade, and I never complained. He's probably said those words out loud to himself many a time. Oh, it's in New Jersey? Oh, Jesus, it's a shame Sal doesn't like wrestling. I could go hang out with him. But, that's good quality stuff. That's a good quality storyline. Actually, you know what? For all we complain about WWE, this Mania has some really strong storylines going into it. And this Fastlane, which is usually a nothing pay-per-view, and I really thought it was going to be a nothing pay-per-view, they actually developed quite a few really meaningful stories this year. And, when you compare it to last year at Mania, when there was no stories going on, it's, really nice how they've changed stuff around, even if they've only done it in the last couple of weeks, and even if sometimes, like the Kofi story, they've fallen into it completely by accident, because Kofi wasn't even supposed to be in the match that got him all this groundswell. But, what else do we got going on here? Oh, yes, next we had the other tag match of the night. Revival wins with Shatter Machine, pinning Peterborough's favorite son, Bobby Roode, and Chad Gable. I love Bobby Roode, by the way. I don't think I've gotten a chance to say this, but Bobby Roode was literally born and lives like 2 towns over from me. They actually played like his theme song on the radio out here. That's how popular he is. But yes, they lost. They ate the pin for Aleister Black and Ricochet, as we knew they would. But this is where it gets strange. It's not enough that Black and Ricochet needed to have the pins eaten for them, but even after the Revival won, they needed to get their asses kicked by Ricochet and Black, who Ricochet is over like Rover in that crowd, because how could he not be? His moveset is so amazing and so stellar, and he's so acrobatic, and he just does stuff that makes you go wow and drops your jaw. Aleister Black's pretty good too. I don't know if a lot of his mystique has translated nearly as well. But yeah, Revival wins, but they still lose, because we still need to smash over these NXT stars, because we've called them up, and so they got their asses kicked. This match is even crazier in retrospect, because you have Ricochet and Black, the 2 hot new NXT stars that they're trying really hard to get over. versus old misused NXT talent like the Revival, who felt dead on arrival for the longest time. Rude, who was a goddamn NXT champion and has fallen so far from where he was. And Gable, yet another tag champion. They were tag champions, right? American Alpha, they were tag champions. Yes, I'm not imagining things. I might be imagining things, but yeah. To think, I'm sure they took that loss and they're like, man, I really, really wish. I mean, yeah, the U.S. Championship. Yeah, Rude was a U.S. champion, but I mean, not for long, and does that even count anymore? That's a nothing championship, and he didn't even hold it for long. But yeah, I can only imagine that when they were eating that loss in the ring, they're like, man, we wish we were protected like this when we came to the main roster. I mean, maybe they did not. They did have the tag titles in NXT and on SmackDown. Okay, cool. Okay, thank you, Hippie Exterminator. So yeah, American Alpha did okay. Chad Gable did okay, but he could be doing better is the thing. But yeah, so it's so funny to see Aleister Black and Ricochet protected so well. As they should be. They're great. But they should be doing that for every NXT call-up. They shouldn't just have them lose so hard in record time. Also, too, it's like, I don't know where this program is going to go. Are they going to put the titles on Ricochet and Black at some point? They don't need them. They're single wrestlers is the thing. They don't wrestle in tag teams. They just smacked them together for this show because they're partners here and they're partners in the Dusty Road Classic over on NXT. It's such a weird time. And I really worry about these guys after Mania because it really feels like McMahon called up like 8 NXT people in a short amount of time just because he wanted to pop ratings, just because he was scared. And is creative going to have anything for these guys? Where's Sanity? Where is my beloved Sanity? Sanity is missing. Please. Actually, no, Sanity isn't missing. You know where they are? If you follow them on Twitter, Alexander Wolf actually had a show in Germany they let him do. And they actually let Damo go back and do an ICW show in Scotland. They are being so underused that the company is actually allowing them to go do other stuff in their home country. NXT wrestlers are more protected than Triple H. They are now, Legend of Shazam. They never used to be. I mean, hell, what happened to the Authors of Pain? They're gone now. So many people just up and gone. What else do we have going on here? I ranted on that one for a while, but hey, that's the show. Okay, next up we actually had probably my favorite match of the night, if you can believe it, mainly because it was just so surprising. The U.S. title scene is actually heating up in ways I never could expect, and all it took was just putting the belt on Samoa Joe. This, of course, was another match that we didn't think was going to happen, but yeah, we had Joe, Andrade, Ray, and R-Truth all together in the ring, and I think these guys actually put on a hell of a show in this one. These guys were trying to steal the show, and I think they most definitely did. This one kind of had everything. You had Joe's power, you had Andrade's technical acumen, you had Rey Mysterio's high-flying stuff going on, you had R-Truth being hilarious. I love R-Truth now saying, oh, I look up to John Cena. John Cena's my hero, and he's just doing John Cena moves, even though he's like 6 years older than Cena. It's good shit. It's really good shit. They all work well together. And you know what? I'm going to say this too, because I don't think they get enough credit. Carmella and Zelina, the managers, they were great. They were great in this too. I think Carmella has really reimagined herself in a great way as R-Truth's hype woman. I really like her now. I was so indifferent to her before, even back when she was working with Enzo and Cass. I genuinely like her now. And Zelina's a great wrestler on her own. And she can make amazing shit happen between the ropes. I think she might be the best manager they've had since Lana. And Zelina's definitely a better wrestler than Lana. I think they're great. And they had their little scuffle out there. I think it's really solid. Joe retains, of course, because, yeah, he should definitely hold on to the belt, as the chat is saying. Probably for a while, because he actually gives it meaning, and it's actually important to him, and he actually cares about it. And if he cares about it, other people care about it. It's so simple, and yet they've forgotten it. I don't know where they're going to go with this feud, though, because they had this match, and then they had basically the exact same match on TV a couple nights later, only it was a tag, heels and faces versus each other. Mysterio pins Joe in a very ugly flesh-colored bodysuit. I don't know what the hell he was thinking there. And Joe gets so pissed off, he kills everyone in the ring, friend and foe alike. I wonder, are they working up to a Mysterio Joe thing for Mania? I think that would be a cool match. If they do, I actually think they'd put the belt on Mysterio, because he hasn't been a U.S. title guy yet, I don't think. Because Corey Graves made a point of saying that, this is the one championship he hasn't captured yet, which means they probably want to give him a WrestleMania moment at WrestleMania for him to actually become a Grand Slam champion there. But, yeah, it's good stuff. I hope they keep it interesting. Because if they keep basically just giving us variations on the match we had tonight, it'll only go downhill, which I would not like to see. Maybe if they put a ladder in there, maybe if they put some tables and chairs in there, that might make it a little bit more interesting. That'd be fun. Ooh, what if Joe gets his own custom U.S. title? Ooh, I'd like that. That'd be fun. I like it when people do custom titles. Yeah, John Cena is another rumor, as Ninjak says. Maybe it'll be Joe versus him. And again, if Cena puts Joe over, like I said last week, that will almost make it all worthwhile, won't it? Lumberjack matches, Wade says. Yeah, some sort of interesting match stipulation, because, WrestleMania usually needs one, like a ladder match or a table match. I guess Batista Triple H is going to be no holds barred. So, I guess that's one type of gimmick match that they have, but... yeah, that one I really liked. I think that was my favorite only because it was so surprising. I didn't expect it to be as good as it was, but everyone totally brought their A game, and I'm actually interested in the freaking US title scene again, which I never thought I would be, because it's been so bad for so long. Now, what did we have after that? Ooh, we had the women's tag match. Nothing really happened in this match. This match wasn't important. What was important is that even after the good guys win, the heels aren't done yet because they pick a fight with commentator Beth Phoenix, which means that her and best friend Natalie Neidhart, who I love Natty, again, like I said, I've only been watching wrestling for a number of years, so I missed her whole diarrhea phase, thankfully, so I am not, tainted on that. But yes, they're officially in the mix now. For the ladies tag scene, and I guess Beth Phoenix is going to be the big celebrity guest star for the women. Now, I don't know if they're actually going to put the titles on them, and if Beth is going to stick around for a bit, or, if they're just doing this to kind of, get more eyes on it. I do think it's cool, though, they're involved, and this also means Sasha and Bayley can be away from, the top heel team, which, love or hate Nia and Tamina, they are the top heel team in the women's tag division. Yeah, I love Beth, too, agreed. And it's definitely cool to see her back again, and, I'm going to be controversial, too. I don't hate Nia Jax when she is a heel. I thought she did very good heel work in NXT when she was basically Ivan Drago, and even now, if she does make mistakes and she does botch and she does occasionally hurt people, she leans into it, which is what a heel is supposed to do. Like when she dropped the leg on Beth Phoenix there and walked away laughing and sticking her tongue out. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. You want to see them get beaten, don't you? Tamina I'm a little indifferent with. Tamina I think is kind of bland. In fact, I can barely remember times when Tamina has actually spoken. But yeah. She's just simply doing her job as a heel and works with hurting people. Indeed. Again, she's a heel who actually gets a heel reaction, which is very rare. Again, you want to see people overcome that. And the fact that she's bigger and stronger than most of the other women, again, it really helps. I know a lot of people were comparing Nia to Ryback and everything. I think the big difference is people stayed mad at Ryback. People don't seem to be staying mad, in the company at least, at Nia. But yeah, she still gets good heat. In a day and age when heels, I think, find it harder and harder to get good heat. There's, very few truly reprehensible heels anymore that you just want to see get defeated. But yeah, so that was that match, everyone. It was fine. Sasha Bayley, they put on a good show, because they always do, because they're very talented. And they were the ideal first people to put those belts on. But after that, we had... we had the big... what ended up being a triple threat match. Daniel Bryan versus Kevin Owens and the returning Mustafa Ali, who they really gloss over, but it's like, Mustafa, he was supposed to be in the Elimination Chamber. So he still had a shot, so he gets it now. Which actually ended up being genius booking, because that means that eventually at the end of it all, he got to eat the pin for Kevin Owens, so Kevin Owens stays looking strong, and also Mustafa looks strong too because he held his own against two champions, the current champion and a former champion, and he looked great doing it. He did all the big flashy top rope moves and everything, and just, man, I believe in Mustafa Ali. I have come around to him so strong, and it's smart writing to get him back in the mix the way they did, because let's face it, if he didn't get hurt, he would have had Kofi's spot, which means we wouldn't have gotten that great Kofi storyline. Potentially Mustafa Ali would have gotten that storyline, because it looked like that's where they were going anyway, because it was actually Daniel Bryan behind the scenes who actually wanted Mustafa Ali called up from 205 Live and be put on the main roster, probably to be a WrestleMania opponent. Oh, thank you, Old Head Tech. Welcome. See, I'm glad this thing's working. I got the alert thing working again. Also, I think are you my 400th there, Tech? I think you might have been my 400th. So hey, congrats to me. We just hit 400. I do believe. Yeah, absolutely, Hippie Exterminator. Everybody looked strong in this match. This was put together so good. It actually felt a lot like a Ring of Honor match, honestly, which is no surprise because at least two of the guys there were from Ring of Honor. This match, too, also allowed us to see a lot of really good stuff for, for face Kevin Owens. And, oh, man, I'm messing up all my pictures now. For face Kevin Owens, who gets in there. My favorite spot was the double super kick to Rowan on the outside. And even Rowan looked good here. I know I've said this on Twitter and it bears repeating. I think Rowan is in the best position he's ever been as Daniel Bryan's strong, silent type heater. They've got like this great like hippie Shawn and Diesel thing going on. He looks great. Looks intimidating, even more so next to Bryan because he's huge and his beard is bigger. You know, helps him cheat, helps him put guys over, helps him eat pins. He's doing really good bodyguard work. Best he's ever done. And man, can he rock a t-shirt. He can rock a great band shirt. He's finally found some good stuff to do. And I never thought he would because every faction Rowan was in, I'm like, oh, you're not as good in the ring as Luke Harper, and you're not as good on the mic as Bray Wyatt. And you're not a freak of nature like Braun Strowman. You're just a guy in a boiler suit. You're just a guy. But no, he's actually putting in really good work here. And, you know, Kevin Owens, again, really doing well with his face work now. He's such a Stone Cold Steve Austin style face. He's even taken the stunner as his finishing move, which I think is brilliant. I think that's so brilliant. The only way it could be better is if he could somehow modify it into a pop-up stunner, which is like he's marrying the pop-up powerbomb and the stunner together. And, as KT brings up, too, the story works, too, because of what's going on with Kofi as well. Yes, Daniel Bryan does amazing heel work in this, because as he's beating down Mustafa, he says, "You do not belong here," is what he's saying, which, again, is everything people told Daniel Bryan when he was a face in a lead-up to WrestleMania. He has lived long enough to see himself become the villain now. He is that bad guy who would have kept himself down, and that's so great. He has become Triple H. And that's so good. And again, when wrestling writing is good, it's really good. I don't know where they're going to go with this for Mania, if they're going to keep it a triple threat thing, if it's just going to be Kevin, if Kofi's going to be thrown into the mix, if it's going to be a multi-man of some kind. But this ended up being a really good match. Everyone looked strong. The right person won the right way. And also, Daniel Bryan's chest was destroyed. If you follow him on Twitter, oh man, his chest was just beaten to death. Which, of course, a lot of people were quick to say, "Hey, Ronda Rousey, wrestling's fake, huh?" Talk to Daniel Bryan's chest on that one. But yeah, that was a winner. That was a doozy. That was probably my second favorite of the night. I knew that one was going to be good, and it lived up to the hype, where the U.S. title I didn't think would be good, and it ended up being really good. Now, what else do we have here? Here we go. Yeah, here's the double super kick, the super kick in stereo I wanted to show. Yeah, look how great that was. That's such a good guy moment of, oh, hey, look at us, and now we're totally gonna kick the bad guy in the face. That was good stuff. Kevin Owens didn't wear his new shirt though. He's got the new yellow KO shirt. He should have worn that. Gotta get that through there. What else do we got going on? So, no, women's match. Again, sorry for the technical troubles here, everyone. I'm using more pictures than I ever have before. Okay, women's match. Women's match was the next one here. Becky versus Charlotte. Oh, can the scrappy face overcome the devious corporate heel on a bad leg, on a tiny Tim crutch? The answer is, yeah. Yeah, she can, actually. With a little help from heel Ronda now, who comes in to quote-unquote save Becky because she really wants to face her at Mania and everything. We knew something like this had to happen. It was predictable, but just because it was predictable doesn't mean it wasn't good. And it was fun. Becky continues to be amazing on the mic, just being a sheer, force of will and charisma, just owning it out there, just having a lot of fun, just doing good stuff there. What more can you say about it? They're building up to a heck of a Mania match when we get there. A Mania match that a lot of people are saying is going to be the main event. Apparently that's not written in stone yet. That was on all the dirt sheets today. They don't actually know who the main event is going to be. And honestly, we got some really strong contenders for a main event this year. I think for historical sake, it should probably be the women's match. It should probably be that one, just to say, hey, we finally did it. But some real strong contenders in that one. And then lastly, what did we have here? Oh yes, we had the Shield versus the Who Gives a Fuck crew. The Shield won one night only in what might very well be their last match together. Seth Rollins sure thought it would be their last match together because he swore out loud one last fucking time before they murdered Baron Corbin. And really, any match where they put Baron Corbin, in the ground is a good one. Drew looked strong in this one. He really gave Dean some shots here. Dean got beaten up on pretty hard. Which, if it's true he's leaving the company, I guess it's good he's putting guys over there. They don't gotta make him look strong anymore. This was a nothing match. This was a feel-good match to end the night, and I guess if what's true is true, it truly did feel like it was going to be their last hurrah as the Shield together, even so much to the point that they all came out wearing their original Shield gear. Roman's getting cheered again, too. Both, because he's still riding the sympathy of his big return and everything. And to go right from that to a program with the Shield where he was the most beloved anyway, that's pretty strong. That's pretty good. Exactly. It was an old school Shield match. Who could ask for more? And if it is the last one, then at least they're going out on a high note on this one. I don't know what this means for the other guys going into Mania. If Roman is even going to have a match, because on Twitter he made it sound like, I'm not coming back full time and everything. But yeah, it was pretty solid. And overall, that was Fastlane. That was TV from this week as well. And that was that, everyone. And pretty good timing, too, because we've almost reached a full hour. I guess if there's some questions from the chat, who is also my co-host, I will be sure to take those. Also, as well, for those who missed it when I started originally, if you want a fine shirt like the one I'm wearing right now, you can get it via TeePublic. But moreover than that, if you check out my storefront and use the code I put just in the chat right now, you will get 30% off, which is one of the biggest discounts they've ever done. So be sure to check that out. I have a ton of wrestling shirts and comic book themed shirts in my shop, so you can check that out. Yes, Longstar, I do watch a lot of New Japan. In fact, if you were here from the beginning, I actually basically gave a rundown of Gallows and Anderson's time in New Japan and what it could possibly mean if they returned to New Japan or AEW. See, that's why I started this show too, everyone, because I just really want to talk about AEW when that comes out. Because I'm super invested in that, being the elite, all that stuff. The show Cody is doing on his channel right now, I watched the new one of that today to set up his potential mystery feud, which, the rumor shooting around there that it might be Bob Holly, that they might get Bob Holly back for a match. Which title bout would you get a replica of? Ooh, good question, KT. I like the Intercontinental Champion, actually, Championship, KT. I think it looks the nicest. It's always been the workers' belt. Some of my favorite people have held the Intercontinental title. Some people never got past the Intercontinental title. I think it's one of the best looking ones. I really dig it. Ooh, when WWE does a showcase career mode, does it work better when the wrestler is retired? Yeah, Legend of Shazam, it does work better when they're retired, because at least you can get it done with, and there's a proper ending. Ooh, favorite wrestler, that's a tough one. I mean, on the current WWE roster, probably Kevin Owens. Probably my favorite. He was the guy who, again, when I started watching fairly recently, kept me watching because he was a Canadian like me, had a physique like mine, was just a nice guy when you follow his career. He just, took the long way there. In NXT, there's so many good people in NXT. Ciampa or Baszler, because they're just amazing villains. I gravitate more towards the villains, but, Gargano's a great face. You gotta love him. Juice Robinson in ROH in New Japan. I like him because he looks like a Technicolor pimp every time he comes out. He's pretty great. I mean, Minoru Suzuki in New Japan as well, because he's just a scary, scary human being. Favorite wrestler, most overrated wrestler. Who's overrated? Who don't I care about? That's rough. I can't explain that one. Tell you what, come watch a show with me, and if I fast forward past it, then you're probably pretty overrated. Sami Callihan too, just another great villain. Again, shows some TNA some love. They actually know what to do with him over there. Holy crap. RVD versus DDP versus MJF versus EC3. Whoever has more letters. E equals MC squared wins that one. But yeah, everyone, that's the wrestling show for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. Do stick around, though. I'm not going anywhere. Actually, I'm going to put on a little Wildlands for a second. And in fact, if you are a fan of this and if you stuck around for the wrestling show, I think you'll like what I do in Wildlands over on Twitch, because you're gonna see a familiar face that I put a lot of time painstakingly into creating. So I will end the stream, but don't go nowhere because I'm coming right back once I set up the game. So thank you all for watching. Thank you for following, for donating, and everything else you did. And I will be back in just a moment.